Welcome back to Talk Tickers. It's Biogen's Q3 2024 earnings call, and, well, let's just say the mood is somber. It's a weighty report for everyone, wouldn't you say? Investors, industry folks, all of us, really.
It is. It is. You can feel Biogen at a crossroads, can't you? And this isn't just, the usual quarterly ups and downs. This is about, well, a company facing a market that's changing all around it while it's trying to, launch these new drugs, build a future beyond its bread and butter in MS, multiple sclerosis.
Right. So let's get down to brass tacks then. We've got the transcript here, Biogen stock performance lately. What jumps out at you as we start, really unpacking all this?
Well, the new drug launches, obviously, that's the place to start. Biogen's got, 3 new meds on the market now? Laquembee for Alzheimer's, Skyclarys for Friedreich's ataxia, and then Zurzuvae for postpartum depression. And each one's telling a different story about just how hard it is to build a new market.
Okay, yeah. Let's start with Laquembee then. Global revenue jumped 66% this quarter compared to last. That sounds, on the surface it sounds pretty good, but then U.S. sales are still lagging behind. It's not just finding the patients, is it? It's the whole healthcare system itself, seems like.
Exactly. Think about all the moving parts. You got the diagnosis, PET scans, then you need capacity for infusions. It's a massive undertaking. Even Biogen's CEO, Chris Viebacher, he pointed to this opinion piece in JAMA Neurology, and it was arguing that, we need innovation, but it can't just be about the treatment itself. We need new ways to deliver care, new policies, the whole 9 yards to support access, widespread access to these really complex therapies.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're already thinking ahead. In the transcript, they talk about potential catalysts, like a subcutaneous formulation, so you wouldn't need, specialized infusion centers anymore, and then wider use of blood-based diagnostics. That would, I guess, simplify diagnosis quite a bit.
Oh, those could be game changers, absolutely. But shifting gears now, let's talk about Skyclarys. We are seeing demand go up both in the U.S. and globally, but the revenue picture in Europe especially, well, it's a little tricky, a little nuanced.
Yeah, the transcript points out a key difference in how they actually generate revenue. In the U.S., it's directly tied to finding patients. But in Europe, they're commercializing it, running early access programs, and at the same time, they're still negotiating reimbursements with each individual country.
Right. And that delayed revenue recognition, it can be misleading. If you're just looking at the top line numbers, you might think, oh, slow adoption. But that's not necessarily the case at all. Don't forget, Skyclarys is available in 15 markets now outside the U.S., and they've submitted 11 more regulatory filings globally.
So, yeah, huge potential there. And then we have Zurzuvae, which seems to be, beating expectations in the U.S. 49% revenue jump this quarter. That's pretty significant.
It is, and that's driven by a big increase in patients actually getting prescribed the drug. So it suggests that it is actually addressing, a real need in the postpartum depression market. And what strikes me is that, Biogen is out there creating these markets, creating them from scratch. This isn't just about, taking a slice of an existing pie.
And the transcript, they make it clear. Building new markets, it takes time. It's a different beast altogether. But while these launches, they do offer, I guess, a glimmer of hope. Biogen's core business, the multiple sclerosis business, it's facing some headwinds, real headwinds.
Yeah.
Revenues for their mainstay drugs, Tecfidera and Ticabri, those are declining.
Well, competition in the MS space, it's fierce. It's really fierce. You've got biosimilars and generics hitting both price and market share. Take Tecfidera, for example. It's under pressure, even though Biogen managed to, uphold a key patent in Europe.
Viebacher, he acknowledged that. He acknowledged these challenges, didn't he? Straight up. But he emphasized their commitment to building a robust pipeline for future growth. And they even threw out a potential peak revenue figure of, what was it, $14 billion from these late-stage programs? That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
Do you think they can realistically hit that, or is that just, hype?
Well, that's a question we should definitely dig into. But it does show, where their focus is. It's on the future. And speaking of the future, let's delve into that pipeline next. There are some really interesting candidates in there, particularly in immunology.
Yeah.
Their lead candidate, dapirolizumab, just showed positive phase 3 results in systemic lupus erythematosus, SLE.
Right.
And this is big because it's only the third molecule in 20 years to show positive results in a global SLE study.
Wow, and they're not wasting any time either. The transcript says they're already gearing up for a second phase 3 study with their partner UCB. They're also pushing forward with litifilimab. That's another potential treatment for SLE, and also cutaneous lupus, which has seen, very little innovation for decades, right?
Yeah, it's really remarkable. And what's fascinating here is Biogen's, well, it's their approach. It's multi-pronged. They're targeting multiple pathways in lupus, and that suggests, well, it suggests a deep understanding of the disease, right? And a real commitment to finding effective treatments for this really complex condition.
So it's like they're hedging their bets, but strategically, right?
Yeah.
Diversifying their approach, but based on solid science.
Exactly. And they're not just focused on lupus either. They just acquired felzartamab, and that's being investigated in a whole range of immune-mediated diseases. They're planning phase 3 trials for anti-myelin-associated glycoprotein neuropathy, IgA nephropathy, and then pyoderma gangrenosum. We're talking about conditions that can really impact someone's quality of life, and new treatment options, they're desperately needed.
Yeah, absolutely. This acquisition, this felzartamab, it seems like a key part of their strategy, right? To build that industry-leading late-stage pipeline in immunology. It widens their scope and adds to their potential revenue streams.
For sure. But we can't forget about BIIB 080 either, right? They're tau-targeting antisense oligonucleotide for Alzheimer's. Now, for folks who aren't familiar with this, antisense oligonucleotides, they're a type of drug that can actually target specific RNA molecules and modify their function. In this case, BIIB 080, it's designed to target tau, a protein that plays a crucial role in how Alzheimer's disease develops. They've just finished enrollment for a phase 2 trial, and they're expecting results in 2026.
Viebacher, he seemed pretty optimistic about the potential of tau-based therapies during the call. He even compared it to the excitement around amyloid beta a few years back. Could this be, I don't know, the next frontier in Alzheimer's treatment? Is that what they're hoping for? Well,
there's definitely a growing consensus, in the scientific community that tau it's a key player in how Alzheimer's progresses. And Biogen, they've got the expertise in neurological diseases. So BIIB 080, it's definitely a program to keep an eye on. But while they're investing in the future, they're also dealing with the reality of their declining legacy business.
Right. How do they bridge that gap then?
Well, Viebacher and their CFO, Mike McDonald, they spend a good chunk of time talking about their business development strategy. They're actively looking for acquisitions or partnerships, things that can boost, near-term revenue growth, but at the same time, create value for shareholders.
They were pretty clear about wanting to be disciplined about it.
Yeah. They really emphasize that any acquisition or any partnership for that matter, it needs to be a strategic fit, something that contributes to their long-term goals, right? Their balance sheet, it looks strong, and they've definitely got the capacity to make some big moves. It'll be interesting to see what targets they go after in the next few months.
So they're juggling, a lot, launching new products, figuring out this tough market for their core products, building this whole pipeline, and then actively, chasing business development opportunities.
Yeah.
It's a pivotal time for Biogen, wouldn't you say? Can they pull it all off?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? They're trying to transform the company while still, keeping the lights on. It's a tough balancing act. And you know what? Let's explore that question in the next segment. Let's analyze whether Biogen really has the resources, the strategy, and the execution, the ability to actually make it happen, to navigate this transition and come out on top, a leader in this next era of biopharma.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into Biogen's Q3 2024 earnings call. It's been a lot to unpack, hasn't it? And that big question, the one that's still hanging in the air, is, well, can Biogen actually pull this off? Can they navigate this transition successfully?
It's a tough one to answer definitively, but we do have some clues, some evidence to consider. They've shown they're willing to make big moves. We saw that with the recent acquisitions, right, and the restructuring of their R&D operations.
Yeah, they're not afraid to shake things up. That's for sure. And they've brought in a leadership team with a pretty strong track record in the industry.
Viebacher especially. He's known for turning companies around, driving growth. He's not one to shy away from a challenge. And their commitment to innovation, it's clear in their pipeline, right? That they're not just going after, Me Too drugs. They're targeting areas where there's a real unmet need with potentially groundbreaking therapies.
Yeah, it's like they're playing the long game. They're thinking beyond just, fixing up their legacy business. They're laying the groundwork for sustainable growth down the line.
Exactly. But of course there are risks. The new product launches, they need to gain traction, the pipeline it has to deliver, and then they need to find the right business development opportunities, the ones that can actually bridge that revenue gap.
It's a lot to juggle. They've got to navigate this whole complex reimbursement landscape for the new drugs, manage the decline of the legacy products, and then make smart decisions about how they're allocating resources.
And let's not forget the competition, right? It's a competitive landscape out there.
Right. They're up against some of the biggest players in the industry.
Yeah.
But Biogen, they do have, a strong track record, right, in scientific innovation and commercial execution, particularly in neurology. They've been a leader in that space for decades.
They have. So what should investors be watching for then in the coming months? What are the key indicators, the signs that Biogen is on the right track or not?
Yeah, what should we be paying attention to?
Well, I'd say keep a close eye on how those new product launches are doing, especially Laquembee and Skyclarys. Are they hitting their sales targets? Are they overcoming those reimbursement hurdles we talked about? And also pay attention to any news about their business development activities. Are they finding the right partners, the right targets? And then lastly, keep an eye on that pipeline. Are those key programs moving forward as expected? Are they hitting those clinical trial milestones?
Right. Good points. Any final thoughts for our listeners as they're digesting this earnings report, considering Biogen's prospects?
Well, I think Biogen is at a really crucial point in its journey. They're facing some serious challenges, but they also have a compelling vision for the future. Whether they can successfully navigate this transition, well, time will tell. But it's gonna be fascinating to watch.
It is, and on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into Biogen's Q3 2024 earnings call. We hope this has given you some valuable insights. And as always, we encourage you to do your own research, keep exploring Biogen and the whole biopharmaceutical landscape. Until next time, stay informed, and thanks for tuning in to Talk Tickers.